Hello, NBA fans, and welcome back to another episode of the NBA The Week That Was. Today, we will be continuing with the good, the bad, and the ugly series here on the NBA The Week That Was. Today will be the 15th episode, which officially marks the halfway point on this series. Today, I'll be analyzing the Memphis Grizzlies and what went well for them this year and what could be worked on moving forward. So without further ado, let's get right into the next episode of the NBA The Week That Was. This year, the Memphis Grizzlies really defied expectations. Going into the season, I felt they would be around the 12th or 13th seed. They just drafted Ja Morant, who I'll definitely go into later, and they already had Jaren Jackson Jr., who, Ja and Jaren, they would need time to work together, gel together, really get into the development process, and eventually in 2 to 3 years, start being solid playoff contenders together. However, they accelerated their rebuild. Arguably, now they have one of their best young cores in the NBA. Let's start off with Ja Morant, the second pick in the 2019 draft. That guy is just a young Russell Westbrook with more shooting. He is so explosive off the dribble, and his athleticism is off the charts. He can just bounce past guys and do some insane finishes by the rim. Some of his finishes are some of the best NBA highlights all season. I love the way he plays. Just accelerating. He's just, always looking to score buckets or get his teammates good looks, which is also another one of his strengths. He's a great playmaker, which makes him one of the best offensive talents in the league. And due to his athleticism, he's actually a good defender for being a rookie. He's 6'3", has a solid wingspan, but he's, as I said, very aggressive and very bouncy, so he can, stay with faster point guards such as Westbrook, for example. But they also have Jaren Jackson Jr., who is a really, really good prospect for them. He is a stretch four who has a great three-pointer and is also a very underrated defender in this league. Coming out of college, I only saw him as a primarily defensive guy, but his offensive game is blossoming in the NBA. He had his three-point shot, but he's developing a solid post game, and if he needs to work on something, it's his rebounding. He has great length, but he doesn't capitalize on that to get the boards he needs. However, it isn't just their star young duo that defines the Memphis Grizzlies. They also have other players that they drafted this year, including Brandon Clark. He is a great power forward you can't really classify his position. He's around 6'7", so that would be undersized for a power forward. However, he is so bouncy. This is a very bouncy team. Ja and Brandon Clark are arguably the two best dunkers from this draft class. Obviously, there's Zion, but so top three dunkers. Ja Morant and Brandon Clark, Zion Williamson. But Brandon Clark, great rebounder, great hustle guy. He's developing his three-point shot. He's a great defender already. He can guard positions 3 and 4 with in a good way. And he's just overall a great player for the young core of the Memphis Grizzlies. They also saw the emergence of Dillon Brooks. At first, he was seen as a 3-and-D guy, he had good length, he had a great three-point shot. However, this year, he really proved he can create his own shot as well. He had some great off-the-dribble shots, including mid-range shots. So, when they need to take the pressure off of Ja, they can slot in Dillon Brooks as the offensive playmaker on the floor. They also acquired Jonas Valanciunas in the trade deadline of the 2018-2019 season, and he has been a great center. I've always felt he's underrated, and now because he's given a bigger role in Memphis, he's really blossoming. He averages around 18 points and 8 rebounds a game, which is very good numbers for a big man. He's developed his three-point shot to an extent, but his biggest strengths are his ability to post up down low and just really use his strength in the paint to make those dunks and layups seem very easy. He's also a great rebounder, which helps out Jaren Jackson Jr. and gives him more time to develop as a rebounder. So overall, those are the players that I really feel stand out in Memphis, but they also have a great coach in Taylor Jenkins. He's a first-year head coach, but he really, he set the tone for the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies have always been known as a grit and grind team with Tony Allen, Mike Conley, Marc Gasol. That era is over, and Taylor Jenkins understood that, and with his young team, he's making them play a very fiery and offensive game, very high-paced, and it's very fun to watch the Grizzlies, and they have a perfect player to lead that high-paced offense with Ja Morant. So Taylor Jenkins is building a good rapport with his players, and overall is very highly respected in the NBA these days, given the fact that he defied the expectations for the Grizzlies. So overall, I feel that the Grizzlies are a really good team given with the players that they have. I did not expect them to be at the 8th seed, which they are at right now. I really expected them to be at the 12th, 13th seed, be another lottery team. But they really accelerated the rebuild. Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson proved that they're ahead of the timeline that us NBA analysts had set for them. So in Orlando, it's going to be close. I feel that the Pelicans are going to give a good shot for the 8th seed, and there might be a play-in tournament with the Grizzlies and Pelicans. However, they're probably going to face the Lakers in the first round, and they're going to get bounced. They're a young team. They'll be the first playoff experience against LeBron James, who we know wants a ring this year. So even though they really, accelerated the rebuild, it won't go too far in the playoffs, but it's a very good position to be in for the Grizzlies, and it's good times ahead if you're a Grizzlies fan. However, I do feel the need to talk about some things that, it's not really the Grizzlies' fault. It's just an issue with all the young teams and, first-time head coaches in the NBA, and that's just consistency. Young players require time to, get ready, get into that NBA flow. So, obviously, we can't count on Ja Morant producing at levels we've seen him produce this year every single night. Even though he averaged the 19 points, 8 assists, there were some nights where, it felt like he was just, not as explosive, or he couldn't really create his offense as he has done in other games. So the biggest issue with the Grizzlies this year was consistency. However, as I said before, and I've consistently said, at the point that the Grizzlies are right now, being the 8th seed, no one expected this. So I feel that the consistency issues aren't as big as other young teams such as the Atlanta Hawks. Some nights the Hawks with Trae Young would just torch offenses, and the supporting cast would help. But most nights, it would just be Trae Young doing his thing, but no one else helping. That's not the case for the Grizzlies, because they do have some of that veteran presence with Jonas Valanciunas, and then acquiring a guy like Justice Winslow from the Miami Heat. So, the consistency wasn't as big of an issue as it was for the young teams. But if I did have to point out one issue for the Grizzlies, it would be that consistency. And moving forward, that'll be an issue that just solves over time, because Taylor Jenkins is going to get used to the NBA. Ja is going to get used to the NBA. Jaren's going to get used to the NBA. So their young team will just be more NBA ready in the next 2-3 years. So that consistency factor won't be a thing. So that high-paced offense that the Grizzlies have is just going to be more and more fun to watch as the years go on. And their defense is very stifling given the high-energy player of their young core. So as I said just a minute ago, Grizzlies fans, you have good times coming. And with that, I would like to wrap up the 15th episode of the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly series here on the NBA, the week that was. If you enjoyed this episode, as always, leave a like down below, and if you're new on this channel, subscribe as well. If you have any feedback for me, as always, leave it in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode of the NBA, the week that was. See ya.